Good people, this is Turn Your Think On with Jay Nolen. We're going to be talking about, in the little 2 or 3 minute drill that we have here, sources of self-esteem. 2 sources. 1, comparing yourselves with others. 2, God. Let's look at comparing yourselves with others. Sometimes we build our self-esteem when we can compare ourselves to others, and we find ourselves either at par or better than others. Or sometimes we feel like we have a low self-esteem when we compare ourselves and we don't measure up to others. But when we compare ourselves and we see that we're at par or even with or even better than others, sometimes that gives us a good feeling. Now, this is a dangerous and unstable source of self-esteem, because sometimes this feeling of I feel good about myself can be manufactured by way of negativeness toward others. Slander, which we talked about in another episode. Gossip. Sometimes when we see people's faults and we focus on those faults and analyze them and share and spread information, which we talked about before, gossip and slander, sometimes that gives us a false self-esteem. It's a self-esteem, and sometimes you feel good about yourself, but it's a dangerous and unstable source of self-esteem. Let's look back at the Bible, of course. Genesis chapter 2 and Genesis chapter 3, the first human beings mentioned in the Bible, Adam and Eve. God set it up for them. God created man. He gave the man a woman. They were together. And in the last verse of chapter 2 it says, and they were naked and they were not ashamed. In chapter 3 enters temptation, enters some other idea than what God had intended. And it ends up saying, God asking Adam and Eve, where are you? And they said, we hid because we were naked. And God asked Adam, who told you you were naked? Now this is something to think about. Who told you? Where did you get this information? Now your self-esteem is less than what I wanted it to be, is what God is saying. Who told you this? So God intended for man to have no shame, a healthy self-esteem. We're not necessarily talking about nudist or anything like that, but we're looking at the fact that Adam and Eve had no shame because they were in the place that God had intended them to be. God is a valid, stable, secure, and everlasting source of self-esteem. So now we got to get our think on. Let's turn our think on and think about where our self-esteem, the source, what is our source of self-esteem? Individually, where is it coming from? Is it coming from comparison with others, where God said, who told you? Or is it coming from you're in the place that God wants you to be? Good people, this has been Turn Your Think On. Jay Nolen. Peace.